Hello, Ravens fans, and welcome to another season preview. I'm Aaron Schneider, Sports Information Director at Anderson University, and joining us for our baseball season preview is head coach Matt Bair. How are you doing today?
Awesome, Aaron. Thank you.
All right, good. So let's get things started. First, let's kick things off. What is your goals / expectations for this season?
Yes. Our goals for every season really, for the most part, don't change. If you're looking at the bigger picture, number one, we simply want to be champions. We want to be national champions. We want to be regional champions. We want to be conference champions. So, every year we set our sights on that and we try to build toward that. But, at the end of the day, we also want to develop our players. We want them to be their best, and we want to help them reach their ceilings within the program, both personally and as players. And, we want to help them build relationships within the program that they can, that essentially last for a lifetime. So, there's a little bit on the personal side there. There's a little bit on the player side there, and there's a little bit on the team side there. But at the end of the day, when it comes to this team, we strive every year to be a champion.
All right. What would you say your team's strengths are?
Well, I think our strength this year is in our depth. We really, from top to bottom, freshman through senior, I feel like we've got a very competitive roster at all positions. And so I think we do have the strength in our depth. I think we have an extremely athletic team this year, just a lot of great athletes, guys who have played multiple sports, but obviously baseball is what they're participating in college, but just some tremendous athleticism there. And again, we do have that balance between a great younger class or younger classmen, I should say. But then we also have some of those veterans that are coming back that have had a couple seasons under their belt that create a good balance and a good mix for us. And then lastly, defensively, I think we're extremely strong up the middle. When we try to build a lineup, one of the first things we look to is how strong defensively can we be up the middle with this lineup. And I think in the time I've been here, this will be one of the strongest middles that we've had as far as the catcher, shortstop, center fielder, and second base position is concerned. So that's exciting.
All right. Now going through, obviously with your depth, you're going to have a ton of competition actually, let's kind of elaborate on that. What's your, with that depth, of course, there's going to be several positions that are going to, you're going to have a lot, decisions to make. And then you've got a few where you've got a few that are definitely going to be really impact and going to be, at that like all conference and all region level. You got a good mix between those.
Yeah, we do. I guess specifically to dive into one area, at the pitching level, we've got a couple guys that are returning that we believe were heavy contributors last year in our season, who again got a full season of conference games under their belt, along with a conference tournament that we really believe in coming back. But we also have a young crop of arms within the program that I think are really going to challenge our rotation in many ways, but I mean, challenge it in a positive way. I just think there's a lot of guys that can contribute for us this season. So that would just be an example of what I mean by our depth.
All right. So now going through our roster, like what, obviously everybody's, it's going to be some sort of impact, but who are some of the key returners do you think that are going to make an impact for this year?
Sure. Well, we do have 4 all-conference players returning and 1 all-region player. So, between Justin Reed, TJ Price, Graham Reedy, and Casey Henderson, we have, again, those are 4 all-conference players returning, and you could only assume this year heading into this season that they will continue to make a significant impact in our rotation and in our lineup and within the team. Walker Stahl was one of our best arms last year, especially at the end of the year. He really matured on the mound, found a great mix of pitches that he had a tremendous feel for, and I felt like was as competitive and as good as anybody we had in our rotation at the end of the year. And he's coming back. Jose Olivo won just about every midweek conference game that we started him in, if not every midweek conference game that we started him in last year. And he is returning. And then, Rene Casas Jr., as a catcher was one of the best bats that we had in the lineup at the end of the year. And he's coming back to try to anchor us there at that catching position behind the dish. And, we just have an abundance of pitchers this year that really had a season of experience last year and had an opportunity to grow and mature. None of which I'm not trying to say are the next Cy Young candidate per se, but all very competitive, all very talented, and all had a season of play under their belt last year that I think are going to look to contribute this year in our rotation. So those will be, besides the fact that, like you said, everybody's going to contribute. There's going to be so many roles that are played, not only in front of the crowd, but behind the scenes. Everyone's going to contribute, but those would be some of the guys coming back that you would assume are going to have a significant impact on the season.
All right. And then as far as the newcomers for this year, a lot of new people coming in. Who are some of those that you see can make an impact for this year?
Yeah, we've got a strong sophomore class, without just going through and naming every name, but we will have several sophomores contributing in our lineup this year. And honestly, our freshman class is just so talented. I'm just really excited for them over these next 4 years within our program. I think every one of them, we have 11 total freshmen this year, 6 pitchers and 5 position players that, assuming they are healthy, will absolutely make an impact at some point, if not throughout our entire season, both in the lineup and in the rotation. So as far as newcomers are concerned, we do have a great core of sophomores in there besides our junior and senior class, but that freshman class of 6 pitchers and 5 position players, they're going to be out there on the field competing, and that's exciting for the program.
All right, so now we have a 3-game series on the road this weekend. It's against the University of Sewanee. What are you looking out of that series for this weekend?
Well, we want to come away with 3 wins. At the end of the day, we're driving down there to win the game, and so. Granted, we will approach it a little differently than maybe we would conference games or mid-season games where our arms are a little more in shape. From them specifically, they've got a veteran coach who's been there for quite a while, and he's won some games. And so I expect them to be fundamentally sound. I know they've got some decent arms that are returning from their season a year, if not 2 years ago. That are going to contribute for them. It looks to me, based on their roster, they've got some nice young talent, a good crop of young guys. But, I don't know if it's a complete advantage, but at the end of the day, when you can get outside and practice and when you can get outside and scrimmage and do those kinds of things, you're always going to have a leg up at the beginning of the year. And that's something we're going to have to battle. They've been outside practicing, they've had reps on their field, and we haven't had that luxury yet. So, we're going to have to go down there and be mentally tough and essentially beat the game, not really focus on the team that's in the other dugout, but just play our best against the game. And, hopefully at the end of the day, that equates to a win.
All right. And then as we dive into the season later, what are some of the key matchups that you're looking forward to? I mean, they're all important, obviously. Is there any that specifically stand out?
I just say every conference game, Aaron. In this conference, the Heartland Collegiate Athletic Conference, the HCAC, it is so tough. It is so well coached. It is so well recruited, and the teams, we are so deep in this conference that anytime we get to lock horns or we get to match up with another conference opponent, it is a huge game for us. And, as Coach Brandon, the longtime veteran, would say, a conference win is a conference win and a conference loss is a conference loss. They absolutely all matter as we fight to get into that conference tournament. So as we do every season, we very much look forward to preparing our guys through gameplay, through practices, to be at our best during the conference season. And that's what we're looking forward to.
All right. And then finally, what does your team need to do this year to be successful?
Just stay together through the highs and the lows and through the adversity of a season. Again, we have a very balanced team. We do have veterans, but we also have a very young team. And we're not quite sure how we're going to come out of the gate with that, and we could either come out of the gate really hot, winning a lot of games, or we could come out of the gate needing to make quite a bit of improvements. And either way, we have to be mentally tough enough to handle either situation and just figure out what it is as a team that we need to work on specifically to get better throughout the year. So, ultimately we've got to stay together as a team. We've got to stay mentally tough, and we got to stay growth minded throughout the entire season. And ultimately we've got to beat the baseball. This game in itself is hard enough without focusing on the other teams in the dugout. We've got to be at our best on the mound, on defense, on the bases, and in the box. And if we focus on being our best in those areas and work to be our best in those areas and stay together, I think we'll have a successful season.
All right. Well, I think I've covered the questions I wanted to. Ravens fans, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to follow along with any more previews, any more content we may be putting out on YouTube. Of course, follow along with your Ravens baseball team as they compete at Suwannee this weekend. We will have all of the coverage of that posted. Coach Bair, good luck this season, and thank you for joining us.
Appreciate it, Aaron. Thank you so much.